Hey everyone, I'm back again with Gabe, and this time we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, aka AI, and its impact on tech stocks. So we're going to cover a bunch of them like Nvidia and maybe Google and some more. So with that, thank you, Gabe, for coming back and talking with me. It was awesome talking with you the first time, and I'm so grateful you're talking with me again. So why don't you start us off? What's on your mind in terms of AI and tech?
So what's been on my mind recently has been the implications of AI and how it will impact the industry going forward. With Netflix saying that they will be able to they'll be able to deep fake foreign voice actors into those shows so they can actually save cost on money. So Michelle, what is your take on the whole entire deep fake situation?
I heard a little bit about that, and I thought it was like interesting because I heard a woman, I'm not sure which, media company she represented or did the voice acting for a lot, but she was saying how AI could be a potential threat to her job as, right now, if you make little squeaky voices for a bunch of cartoon characters, like that's your livelihood. That's like what you do. And if you have AI kind of replacing your squeaky voice and kind of doing the same as you, like what you were doing, but doing it in a more, programmed way, it seems like kind of like not a good situation because like from what I've heard from the Hollywood writers strike, that's affecting, a lot of the media industry right now, like a lot of shows and movies are not really being made and or they're delayed a lot. So it seems, kind of a tricky situation. And what do you think about it?
Well, I think it's a very interesting concept for technology. So how deepfakes works are they train it on the character's voice, and then after that it will make its own model, and then after that you can use it forever. And that's the reason why if you go online and you type in SpongeBob deepfake songs, there's a whole entire rap catalog now of like Mr. Krabs and Plankton just having a rap beef. And other than that, yeah, it's a very interesting technology for voices. And then of course, you have the natural image models that Google has released with Dialy, I think it's called. And that is where you can feed it at any prompt, and then it will make you a picture. And they've taken that technology and put it into the Adobe programs too. With I've seen someone generate a poster for Barbie and Oppenheimer at the same exact time.
Uh-huh. Well, that's kind of neat. I mean, so what do you think about how, the advent of these AIs and making, kind of fake things, but also based on reality of like either real people or the kind of things that you used to rely on humans for, but now you can kind of shortcut it and make art and maybe make essays like through AI. How do you think that will either help or hurt some businesses like Google or Adobe?
It would definitely help out Adobe, but you would run into some ethics issues because the way they trained these models, they trained it with art, and they might have not requested the artist's permission. So you might run into a massive ethical problem via through the training regiments and stuff. But with the Google stuff, with Bard and stuff, you'll be able to actually bridge the language barrier better via through the natural language models. That was like one benefit of AI too.
So do you think Google is like not really too behind on some of this? Because I remember when ChatGPT was first coming out, everybody was like, "Oh, this is the Google killer." And then Google stock kind of went down a lot, like into the 80 something dollar per share range, and now it's recovered to I think when I last saw like $120 per share range. But like is Google actually okay or are they still kind of like threatened by other AI tools like ChatGPT? Because I know they're trying to catch up, or they're saying like they got a bunch of AI tools that are kind of helping out, but I feel like the market doesn't really believe Google.
Well, Google's been at this for a long time. You have to remember that Google is now coming into that mature company phase. But at the same exact time, people do forget that Google has a supercomputer that a lot of people just don't remember. They have one of the most advanced supercomputers out there still to this day. There's both public use, and then of course you have Bard. And the reason why the stock went down so much on that, I remember that specific day because I proceeded to purchase some shares of Google, and that was when Bard got an answer on because poor intern didn't check his work or something on those lines, and
Mm.
then it just proceeded to tank. But but with ChatGPT and the computing that Google's doing, it's a little bit different because ChatGPT is a natural language model, so they would generate prompts. And with something like Google, it's looking just to fetch you things. But the sleeping giant in the room that a lot of people tend to forget is Amazon. They have the
Oh,
best robotics department, and they probably have the best AI department too.
wow. So like, how come people aren't really talking about Amazon's AI threat?
Because they keep it very private and very hush hush because, well, it's Amazon. They tend to shroud themselves in secrecy to keep up with the competition.
So they like kind of similar to when I think they were coming out with the like Kindle or I think I heard maybe Kindle or Alexa, one of those. Like they were trying to deliberately keep it quiet for a long time, right?
Yeah, yep. If I remember that right, yeah, they'll endeavor into the home assistants. Yep, they tend to keep that quiet, and then they would tend to keep quiet on AWS for a long time until they actually were able to review it.
Yeah, yeah. I think they downplayed the impact of AWS until they really had to reveal how awesome it was, and then like everybody was really impressed. So I guess that's something to keep in mind. So what do you think Amazon's doing with AI specifically? Do you mind like telling us more about that?
From my understanding, what they're doing is they're making better prediction models. They're making better prediction model for ads. Because once again, I've always stated Amazon ads is going to be dramatic, and they're just making probably better logistics programs too for the pharmacy businesses that they unleashed now. They're probably doing it for the ads, of course, and then with the predicting they can probably use it for Prime too to make better prediction models for the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you remember way back when Netflix put out $1 billion bounty for them for a team to improve their prediction model.
Uh-huh.
The one team did win, but it took them about 2 years to implement.
Mm. Wow. So so what do you think is going on also with Nvidia and AI? Like I know that they recently had an earnings call, and as soon as they reported really great blowout numbers, apparently like the stock jumped even more. And it not too long ago, like in October 2022, Nvidia was trading at around $120 a share, and now it's quadrupled to like $480 a share. So it's incredible how Nvidia has kind of skyrocketed from all this AI hype. So do you think it's justified, or do you think it's more hype of what's going on with Nvidia and the promise that it's offering people?
What I taught one this is from a second source. For what I'm seeing from the machine learning community, NVIDIA's specifics in AI is good for generic products. But if you want to get into niche products, you would have to go into like Microsoft's suite, of course, because they are, of course, they're working on AI too. But with NVIDIA's things, the GPU computing aspect of this is okay. But with what I'm seeing other players like NVIDIA, I mean, my bad, AMD and Intel working specifically on how to compute these AI models
Hmm.
or machine learning models. I don't know if there's a stock out there that might benefit from this AI craze. It already did, but it's called super micro computers. But they might benefit too through the AI processing part of it. And of course, Nvidia had their data centers absolutely kill it slash go down. I think it even went up or down and it stayed flat with the data centers. But
Hmm.
that's going to be the vast majority of the primary goal for these data centers.
So
Do you know what a data center is? And you want me to
yeah,
explain what a data center is?
I mean, I'm guessing a data center is resting in the cloud somewhere of like a lot of people's data, you know, a lot of corporations' data hanging out in the cloud. Is that kind of like it?
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, it's just a giant building that houses servers, like hundreds of servers. The main issue is like you just got to figure out how to keep them cool.
Oh, yeah, right. But it's kind of funny when they put some of these cloud, like these massive cloud places in some places like South Carolina, which nothing against South Carolina, but it's pretty hot in South Carolina sometimes. So it's kind of funny when some of the those cloud locations are kind of one of them's there, and I'm sure there's many other cloud locations in other places. But yeah, sometimes I kind of wonder about when they put these cloud one of the backup data centers in like a hot state, and it's kind of funny.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it does make you wonder. It does make you wonder how they're gonna keep this cool and like keep it running functionally, of course.
Yeah, but I
But
guess they figured out, and they probably have a lot of AC running, and maybe the state gave them some subsidies to help keep them stay, like help the company to stay there and hire people for the job. So I'm sure there's, you know, a lot at play here as to why some of these companies set up shop somewhere. But yeah, so that's good to know. I mean, so between a lot of what's happening with AI or machine learning, rather, more so machine learning, right? Because there's not as much that's like true AI, right? Because
mhm.
true AI would be like something like if we watched some of these popular movies like Ready Player One or um, what, or like the movie Her, if like entities actually took on a real being. And I mean, I'm sure there's more movies where, you know, AI would be more of a real thing. Or also
You
maybe
have
not,
iRobot too.
yeah,
If your
AI
Will
robot.
Fist bad.
Sorry, and actually let me correct myself. Maybe not Ready Player One, but I was actually thinking of Free Guy. Free Guy was
Mhm.
like a video game where, you know, like the AI character who's supposed to be a dummy character played by Ryan Reynolds is like now, you know, actually thinking that he's feeling these feelings for a real people character. So yeah, sorry, I got my movie switched up, but
No,
even
that's
though
fine.
we think of these you know, AI playing out in some movies and stuff, but in reality, how do you think this affects us in terms of like as investors, like what we should look out for, and what things are kind of like being hyped up too much, or what's reality and something that we can really get our minds wrapped around?
Um, so the crown jewel of machine learning slash AI, which is probably not gonna be achievable for the next 20 to 15 years, unless this concept called the singularity happens, which I highly doubt will. The singularity is, well, computers outmatch humans and the computing power of that and turns into a somewhat a sentient being, but I highly doubt that's gonna happen. And then what you need to watch out for as investors is you need to watch out for generalized generic AI that doesn't really do much. Um, like like to put it for example, there's this company out there called Ultrix. It's been absolutely hammered. It was in one of the super investors funds, but it's a direct to market data analytics slash AI platform now. With the AI, it will be able to make you slides, it'll be able to summarize meetings for you, it would be able to make you writer's prompts slash stuff like that. You should be wary of stuff like that. It is very interesting. It's very interesting capabilities and stuff like that. But with these AI companies slash tech companies, you will be going for insane multiples.
Mhm.
Like Nvidia is now trading at like at times like 45 fold earnings. And of course, Apple is always expensive because they tend to have one of the best AI teams now in the globe too. And of course, Amazon is. I think it's fair value, but for some people will be very expensive still,
Mhm.
given the recent lows. Um, you should make sure how the computing actually makes sense, like and stuff like that. Like I know Snowflake's out there too, being an actual data engineering platform. You should know the difference between data engineering, data analytics, and business analytics too, because all of them go with all three different things, but play in the software space.
Hmm.
And for the love of God, do not look at Palantir. If you want a military contract that plays in AI, from what I've seen, it would be like Booz and Hamilton.
Oh,
This is not a very talked about company because
yeah,
of
yeah.
its secrecy of its work.
Yeah, I've heard about Allen Hamilton, right? They're based out
Mhm.
of the Virginia area.
Yep. You know,
Yeah.
they're the biggest contract, they're one of the biggest contractors I've seen. They've been working with the military since World War II. Through the military ships now it's 97% of the revenue now comes from the government, 3% comes from private entities,
So,
which could be a double-edged sword.
hmm, well, I mean, as long as they continue to impress the government keeps giving them contracts. Like, I mean, kind of that's more of a little bit of a macro question about, the United States and defense military spending. Like, if you're into that kind of topic, that would be an area that you can try to see, like, who are the people competing in this space and who really has an edge, and kind of like what are all the underlying relationships there, because I'm sure Booz Allen also has relationships with international companies that kind of do things that are, the cutting edge of innovation and stuff. So I'm sure there's a lot going on there that we're not even scratching the surface of what's really happening. But then why do you feel like Palantir is something to be careful about?
Um, so if you talk to the average Palantir holder, they do not know what they actually hold. I have a very colorful history of Palantir holders, to put it lightly. But with Palantir, you're getting into the government, of course. And from my sources, the government doesn't really talk to each other, so Palantir can just straight up lose their contracts. Alex Culp is proceeded to deluge the shareholders and is proceeded just to dump conversation on them. The product they offer is good, but the stock is a separate topic in its own. Like Palantir is like the product is seems like it's really good. But with everything that is going on with Palantir, with the shady management, the fact that your average holder doesn't actually know what they're holding because they straight up can't due to the fact that it's under NDA a lot of the times.
Hmm.
And other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, but how do we know that Booz Allen doesn't also operate a lot under NDA? How do we know that they're not similar?
Well, Palantir and the segment of Gotham and Booz and Allen are very similar because the part that's under NDA is viewed through Gotham.
Hmm.
And the biggest claim to fame for Gotham was they supposedly caught Osama bin Laden via through their program, but I was like, okay.
Hmm.
And then they, of course, that, but their adjustable TAM market is everyone, which
Uh-huh.
is not the case. You can find that in the slideshow. The big TAM is literally everyone. That is a exact quote from Alex Culp too.
Oh, well, so maybe they're trying to, like, maybe bite off more than they can chew. It kind of sounds like I have not studied any of these defense military contract companies, so like I'm not really I'm not really knowledgeable, but definitely an interesting avenue to explore if you're into AI. And I know, a lot of military type companies tend to be on the cutting edge of a lot of AI applications, and imagine incorporating AI with drones and making drones better, and like incorporating that into cybersecurity, and also all kinds of applications that you would hope will ultimately benefit society. But right now, it's still in the more military exploration level. So, I'm sure there's things to pay attention to there, but that's definitely, I would say that's a very outside of my circle of competence, like very difficult. Like, unless I work in that direct industry, it will take me a while to kind of wrap my head around anything that could be going on there. So it helps to talk to people. If you know people who work in that industry, or if you yourself work in that industry, it could give you a leg up as far as, if you're looking to invest in something, kind of military contractor and AI based. So something to keep in mind. So that's very interesting. And thank you for elaborating on that, because I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm just thinking about more so big tech and also AI or machine learning. So yeah,
Yeah,
I want to
definitely.
also ask, what might be a final thought you want to share about what we should take away with how machine learning AI is affecting the stock market now or not? Like, what would be your final lesson for us today?
Bubbles will come. These AI bubble will come and go. Um, the market will not be the same after this, of course, because you never see a valuation skyrocket to the point where this ever happens again, in my humble opinion. And then when you're going out there, make sure if you're looking at a tech company, you're looking at the stock-based compensation, the KPIs, of course, and you gotta make sure they're profitable. And you have to come and realize that these tech companies, like the good big names, will come at a premium. So you should be trying to get it at Gulp to borrow from Warren Buffett. And then, of course, AI will bring in good things. It will change, for my example, for my industry in Pacific, I'm a chef. It will be seen to bring in robots to help cook the food. So in general, in return will be less people in the kitchen, but at the same exact time, you will not be getting absolute burnt from the fryers and stuff because the computers will do that hard work.
Hmm.
An example with that would be you can actually see it up and running. McDonald's actually has a test location in South Carolina, I think, that is fully automated, which is very interesting to think about.
Wow.
And when Wendy's, of course, now has little voice AI view through the menu that they actually partnered up with Google.
Mm,
And that's how this was in the very, very beginning stage of the AI, was when Wendy's started mentioning AI.
wow. Cool. Well, so that's kind of good and bad, right? For, the line of work that you're doing. Do you think like an AI fully automated system could take what you're doing away?
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, it
Wow.
could. Yeah, it could
Well,
definitely. Yep.
wow. But
Um,
like, do you feel like worried about that? Like, what do you think you would do if that happened?
you have other restaurants tend to get destroyed and get redeployed. I can see it taking out the fast food workers. I can not really see it taking out the dinos, but I can see it taking out a vast majority of the food prep. Like put in perspective, DoorDash made a bot that makes salads. It
Hmm.
was called Sally. And then of course you have the pizza bots that need to be rolled out slash refined, but of course you have that. And then there's a whole entire restaurant down in San Francisco, I think, that makes burgers to the absolute perfect temperature, has the robots make them too, and then it cooks them on the go to cooks them too.
Yeah. I actually heard something about that. Like Chili's is also incorporating some of this technology. And like I
Mhm.
watched a Wall Street Journal video about how Chili's is revolutionizing their kitchen, reducing the options on the menu because of, the whole choice paradox. Like the more choice you offer customers, the less they're able to make good decisions. So like they streamline their menu, incorporate better burger machines, and reduce the time to prep. So all those things you're saying, like, so those could be good. Like maybe they don't eliminate all the jobs, but they help some of the people still working to do the job better. So that would
Yep.
be
Mhm.
that would be a good thing if that happened. And maybe we should talk about that next time some more about, how AI and automation can affect the restaurant industry, because I think that's a whole other section. So in addition to, kind of like modern cutting edge technology and semiconductors, also talking about, the real world and how a lot of people came back to work, but a lot of people are changing jobs now after the last few years after lockdown. So kind of like, I think one of the bigger things that we should adapt to as both just human beings wanting jobs and also like as investors, is be willing to adapt, because with the rise of AI and stuff, we're just gonna be faced with all kinds of changes, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. I've learned from the opportunities. The opportunity tends to adapt quickly. If you don't adapt, you could be seen. You could be down on your feet. Definitely. Yeah, I'd be definitely down to talk about it in greater detail on a different episode, of course. You have you if people want to get into it sooner, you can see Tyson Chicken has started implementing their AI slash automation down in their plants too, which is a very interesting thing to think about.
Cool. Yeah, we should talk about that another time, and talk about all the meat companies like Tyson and Purdue Chicken and Hormel, like their pepperoni, and I know Hormel makes a bunch of processed food. So be very interesting to talk about, what the food industry is doing. So we'll do that next time. And
Oh
I
yeah, no worries.
really appreciate your time, Gabe, and also known as Fuhat. And like before, you can find Gabe on Discord at the Capital Mindset, and I'll include the link to that as well as Gabe's Twitter and Instagram. So if you want to get in touch, hit him up, and you could also hit me up. And I really appreciate your time today. Thank you, Gabe.
Oh yeah, no problem. It's always a joy to come on.
Thank you. We'll talk again soon.